We are speaking with Don Felder. He has a new album coming out on May 23rd called The Vault 50 Years of Music. And Don, thank you for spending some time with us here in Tucson. I got a quick question about this album. It's called The Vault. And when you first look at the title and 50 Years of Music, you think it'd be like a best of type of thing. But really, this is a different type of best of album. Can you explain a little bit behind what's going on with it?
Yeah, to make a really long story short, I moved out of Malibu in I think it was the year 2000. After my fifth fire out there, I went, okay, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm moving to town. So I had my recording studio and all my tapes and everything, and I just put it in the truck, put it in storage here in town until I could find a house. So I found the house and bought it from Seal that had a studio in it. So I just left all my gear in this locker. About 4 or 5 years ago, I said, God, it's been in that locker 20 years. I don't even remember what's in there. Let's go take a look. So we go in, and I find all these 2-inch, 24 track master tapes, 16-inch tapes or 16 track tapes that I was making when I had a 16 track machine, 2-inch mixes, and these giant boxes full of cassettes, CDs, and ADATs, every form you could mix down to of all the ideas that I had been writing and working. I just thrown them in this box. So I went, I didn't remember what's in this box. Let's take this over to my new studio and we'll transfer them over to Pro Tools to a digital hard drive and get them off the cassettes and all that stuff that shred. So I'm sitting there listening to some of these things and I went, man, that was a good idea. I never finished these things because when I first joined the band, my friend Bernie Ledden told me, if you want to write songs for the Eagles, don't write lyrics, don't write melody. Just write music song beds. Introduction, verse, chorus, solo, chorus, out, right? So just write a song structure of music beds and tracks. So I would do for every album, I'd write 15, 16, 17 song ideas for like Hotel California. Two of them became songs that wound up on the record. One was Hotel California and one was Victim of Love. Same thing for The Long Run. I wrote a ton of stuff for that. I was just writing all the time. As a matter of fact, I still am. Even if I'm driving down some freeway and I get an idea and I grab my phone and I sing into it, trying not to kill myself going 75 miles an hour. But this new song that I just wrote was something that just was brand new. But all of this stuff, so I went back and found the very first demo that I ever wrote and played for the Eagles was a slide song. And the slide part, when I heard it, was great, but I didn't have any instruments. I didn't have drums and stuff like that. So I made that demo on a 4-track tape machine with a cardboard box and a microphone and me going, playing drum track on it, right? On a cardboard box. And then I played bass and some rhythm guitar and a bunch of slide stuff. I put it on a cassette and played it for him, and he really liked it. He wanted to name it Slide On. And I went, that sounds a little corny to me. I don't know. I kind of like the slide stuff. It just sounds corny. So about 5 years ago, I got involved with somebody I broke up with, and it was just time to move on. So I went, hey, maybe I take that slide riff, write the track for it, and I use the theme of move on, where you get to a point in a relationship, it's just time to move on, with love and kisses, but move on. So anyway, a lot of these songs that are on this new record came from different decades. Some came from the 70s, some came from the 80s, some from the 90s. I wrote some stuff for the Hell Freezes Over tour that became one of the ideas that's on there now. That was we were trying to get songs for the Hell Freezes Over album, but we just had no time to record more than 3 or 4, and we just had to get on the regular tour. So anyway, that never got finished. So I went back and finished these things, and they were just music beds, and I wrote the lyrics for them, reproduced the whole tracks all ground up from modern day Pro Tools 96K technology, the highest and sweetest sounds you can get. And they just sound fantastic. Those old music ideas still held up after 50 years of laying in a cardboard box.
So who's on the album with you? Because I noticed you got a little bit of an all-star cast going on here.
Well, most of the times, the most fun part is casting the musicians that are going to play on certain tracks. Like there's a song on there that was a ballad called Let Me Down Easy. And the perfect ballad drummer is Jim Keltner, legendary drummer. On the other hand, the song we were just talking about, I Like the Things You Do, uh, Todd Suckerman is absolutely the perfect drummer for that. He's just really aggressive and plays hard. And so I had different drummers coming in that I felt were most appropriate for the style. I know how they play, and I would cast the right drummer, I think, for the right track. And then same with bass players. You know, I had Matt Bissonette, who played with Elton John for 12 years, come in. I've known Matt since the 70s, and his brother Greg played drums on a couple of tracks. So, and Nathan East, I stole him from Kenny Loggins back in the 70s for about a year. And then Clapton stole him from me, and Clapton won't give him back. But he will come in. He will come in and play bass on some tracks of mine. I've known him a long time. So, David Page, keyboard player from Toto, brilliant keyboard player. He and I have written some songs together in the past. Steve Lukather from Toto. I've known Steve since the 70s. We toured Germany together 5 years ago or something, and just had a great time. As a matter of fact, when Steve comes over, the first 30 to 45 minutes is just sitting around laughing, telling jokes, and recounting dumb stories that we did when we were in the 70s out of our brain, you know, at the time. Laugh. And then we get down to business, and maybe 30 minutes later, all the guitar parts are done. I mean, we both can write and record and play very quickly. So it's not like pulling teeth. It's like having fun with your buddies when you start to make a record.
So the first single that we played off the album was called Free at Last. Can you tell us a little bit about that song and the story behind that?
Well, you know, if you go back and listen to the album I made before American Rock and Roll, it was called The Road to Forever. And it has a little bit of a spiritual transition tone to it, you know? And so I wanted to, as I get closer and closer to personally experiencing that translation, that transformation, I wanted to write a song that was encouraging about looking forward to it, being free of all these worldly burdens and the scars and the stuff we've been carrying since childhood and the disappointments and the frustrations and stuff we've had to live through in part of our growth here on the planet. And that it's going to be all right. When we cross over, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine for us all. So that's the message in it, that it was the idea behind it. And we will be free at last of all this burden of being on the world.
Now, another song we've been playing off of it is Hollywood Victim. I really like that song. To me, it's like the perfect headphone jam, driving down the freeway, cranking up the stereo thing. What's the story behind that? And what era was that from, actually, too?
That, I think, was one of the songs I was writing the basic music bed for. That may have been either for the long run or for the Hell Freezes Over tour. But it didn't have any lyrics. It didn't have any melody. It was just the basic chord change in the tracks. Pretty embryonic, but musically it was the story bed, you know, the song bed. So finally I heard it and I went, that's kind of a cool track. Let me rebuild that. So I went back in and just rebuilt the whole track, wrote the lyrics for it, sang it, brought in a couple of great background singers to help me with the choruses and stuff on it, and on Free at Last. And it was just a fun experience to go back and take the little just embryonic idea of a song and turn it into a current today track.
Where do you get your lyrical inspirations from?
You know, that's funny because I don't know. The other day, well, when I was telling you about this song, I Like the Things You Do, I was actually down in the gym on a treadmill and I'm running along and I'm running at a certain tempo. I always have to run at a tempo, right? And that's why I can't listen to music that's constantly changing tempos or else I've got to run it in that time, right? So I'm running there and I get this idea that I'm singing with what I'm running at. And so I pick up my phone and I'm singing into my phone, I really like all the things that you do. And I look over, this guy's looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? So I don't know. It was just things come to me, whether I'm, like I said, driving down a freeway or sitting on a couch when I rode Hotel California in a rented house in Malibu, and it just came out. And if I don't go record those things right away, They just a day or two later, you go, "What was that idea? How did that go?" And you just can't remember it. I can't anyway. So that's why I've got so many ideas and little cassettes and stuff, and still I've got hard drives here in my studio, just full of other ideas that I haven't had the time to flush out.
It's amazing too, because in the old days, you probably had a pad of paper next to your, nightstand. Nowadays, you just drive down the road, you got your cell phone in your hand, just record memo.
Thank God. I've got probably 75 little notes on my cell phone of ideas that I've sung or played. Sometimes I'll be playing and I'll go, "What was that?" And I'll just grab my cell phone and put it in record and play it in there so I don't forget it. Then when you get the time, that's the hardest part, is setting aside enough time in a block to be able to take, say, 3 or 4 songs and take them from ground up to where you're finished. It just takes a lot of time, especially when I'm doing everything. I'm doing the writing, I'm playing the guitar parts, I'm putting together the idea, writing the lyrics, singing it. It's a lot of work, but I love it to death, because to me, to walk into the studio when it's just dark and black, no idea, nothing, and you go, "Let's turn all this stuff and put it in record, and I'm just going to start playing. Let's see what comes out today." What one of the things that I learned to do in New York City when I was starving on the streets there with a jazz fusion rock band called Flow was I learned to improvise, where you could just make up stuff, and once you learn how to just open up yourself and let that stream of creative consciousness come out, whether it's lyrically or vocally or playing an instrument or whatnot. And I really admired all the jazz musicians, like the people that I saw in New York: Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Wayne Shorter, Miles Davis. Just, you go see these guys and you go, "My Lord, they've just got a stream of creativity that's just a massive energy flow." So, I learned how to do that. And I guess the best example of being able to use that was when we did the Hell Freezes Over tour. We set up a Warner Brothers soundstage, and we had an orchestra behind us. There was 2 recording trucks recording 48 tracks, and there were about 9 video cameras on booms and all sorts of stuff. We did 2 shows. And at the end of sound check, Henley said, "I think Hotel needs a special introduction." And I went, "Yeah, you're right. What are you going to say?" I thought he was going to talk about the song or something and introduce it. No, 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 no. It needs a musical introduction. Just make up something. So I went, "Okay, you play these chords, I'll diddle. You play this chord, I'll diddle. You play this chord." So that whole opening that you hear on Hell Freezes Over, the acoustic version of Hotel, was just made up on the spot. And we did 2 versions, and we got in the studio because we recorded 2 shows, got in the studio and listened to which one was better. And the one that you actually wound up on the record with was a little better than the other one, not mistakes wise, but it was just 2 different moments of creativity. So, but I love to do that, to walk into the studio and go, "Let's see, what can we create today?"
So you were talking a bit ago, Steve Lukather, different musicians you bring in on these songs. When they come in, and you've already got, lyrics, you've got the bed, you got that whole. Do you already know what you want them to play as far as guitar or drums, or does it suddenly become more of a collaboration at that moment, or do you hear everything in your head, then you say, "Do this"?
No, I never tell anybody what to do. Slash came in and played on my last record. He came in and sat down in the control room right here behind me, and I was on one side, he was on the other, and we brought up the song American Rock and Roll. He said, "Well, what do you want me to play?" I said, "Play Slash. Be you." I'm not gonna tell you what to play. So I just let him go, and I had a guitar. We were playing off each other and playing together on stuff. And then that way you get that free spontaneity from people, and they're very identifiable. And if you try to mold somebody into play something you want them to play, it's not going to sound like them. It's got to come from the artist himself. And that's why I never tell anybody. If I've got a demo like I played bass on, when Matt Bissonette or somebody comes in to play bass, I said, "This is just a really rough sketch. It's just the chord progression. Feel free to jump in and be as elaborate or as laid back or as sparse as you want." And then it gives them the creative freedom to be able to do what they want to do. and that's usually the best.
Well, the new album is called The Vault, 50 Years of Music. It's going to be out May 23rd, but you're going to be in Arizona a little less than a week from now on Saturday, May 10th, up at the Gila River Resorts and Casino, Wild Horse Pass in Chandler, which is just south of Phoenix, just up the road from Tucson. For somebody, is this the kickoff of your tour?
No, this is it's not the tour. It's just me playing this one show. So
Oh, okay.
you get the full 90 to 2 minute or 2 hour show because of me. If it's a headline, we have to cut each set down a little bit, or else you wind up with 4 hours of just nonstop hits, like with Styx and Kevin Cronin and REO and myself. It really is a hit fest from the first song to the very last song. And there's some surprises in and out of the set too, where people might walk out on stage and sit in with another act or close with the grand finale. It's always fun to have some surprises.
So is this the tour with Kevin?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what could people like? I haven't seen Kevin by himself yet, but I've seen REO a billion times and stuff. But tell me, if somebody has not seen Don Felder, what can they expect on Saturday night up in Chandler?
You know, it's really funny because somebody brought it to my attention just a week or so ago that on Ticketmaster, if you go search Don Felder and look for reviews, there's almost 500 show reviews there. And out of those 500, there might be 5 or 10 4 stars. There's somebody that had problem getting their tickets at the box office and they gave it a 1 star, not because of me, but because of the box office problem. So most people are absolutely delighted. If you go look at those reviews, you can bear witness by reading those reviews of people that went, bought tickets, came to the show, and were unbelievably impressed and surprised by my band. I have some of the best musicians, and I feel a responsibility to the quality of the songs and records that we made together as the Eagles, and the quality of records and songs that I write for solo and that sort of stuff, to have the absolute best players and musicians I can find. So I've got a guy that's named Derek Franks, who plays bass, sings unbelievably well. He's played with Gwen Stefani. He played with Shania Twain for 6 years, played with Shakira, works with Carly Clarkson, and now he's working with me. You will not believe this guy. He is just rock solid on bass. If you go online and look at Derek Frank, you can find him playing a lot of creative bass parts, like in smaller clubs and stuff. Just brilliant. I have an amazing drummer named Seth Roche, and Seth has played with just about everybody. He's played with Rascal Flatts and Sheryl Crow, Little Big Town, Brad Paisley, and this country superstar Keith Urban for 6 years. Now he's working with Carrie Underwood, but Carrie's doing American Idol, so he's with me. So I got a great hot rod young kid named David Myers who works with Kid Rock and Kenny Chesney and Tanya Tucker. These guys are not your typical sidemen. These guys are the creme de la creme, and you will be very impressed with the way this band sounds.
All right, and what songs is it going to be a whole retrospective of your career?
No, I do a lot of songs that I co-wrote and recorded and toured with the Eagles for the 27 years that I was there. I think a lot of people expect to hear me play all those solos, play Hotel California, One of These Nights, Life in the Fast Lane, all of those kind of stuff. By the end of the night, the whole place is up on their feet with their cameras out videoing Hotel California. They've been dancing and rocking and having fun. That's the whole idea. Now, a lot of times, you know, you go to a concert and they want you to just stay in your seats. Like, what? That's right. That's if you want to go to a symphony concert, okay, you can sit in your seat. If you come to a Don Felder, get up and dance and shake your booty and have fun. That's what we did.
And then we get to hear any of the new stuff.
Yeah, you'll hear some new stuff. You'll hear heavy metal from the early 80s that I wrote for that song. I do a little salute.
By the way, that's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, wow, fantastic. I do a little salute to Stevie Ray Vaughan. I play Pride and Joy. It gives me a chance to just step out of all the Eagles classics and playing the solos exactly like the records to just being able to play the blues. And it's a lot of fun. I do just a variety of things. It's really an interesting show with a lot of rock and roll, a lot of booty shaking and clapping and having fun.
And who's on this tour again with you? Obviously, we talked about Kevin Cronin. And who else?
Styx.
Styx. Oh, okay. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
great show. All
that's
right.
it. It is indeed. It's 4 hours of just solid hit.
Just hit parade.
Uh-huh.
Well, Don, if people want to follow you on social media or website, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. If you just go on Instagram and search Don Felder Music, that's me. Same thing for Facebook. I don't do X or Twitter or any of that stuff. Or you can go to donfelder.com and see my whole tour schedule, the merch store, where I'm going to be, stuff I've done, photographs of what we're doing now, upcoming events and stuff like that. So donfelder.com, Instagram, and Facebook.
All right, Don, thank you so much. Again, new album, The Vault 50 Years of Music, going to be in stores on May 23rd. He's going to be up in the Phoenix area this coming up Saturday over at the Gila River Resort and Casino, otherwise known as Wild Horse Pass, right off of I-10, right there, just up north of us. Literally an hour and 10 minutes from Tucson to there. So make the drive up there. Sounds like it's going to be a fantastic show. And then, of course, it looks like you've got a pretty good tour heading into the summer as well.
Yep, because it's a busy year.
All right, so go to donfelder.com. All the details are right there. Don, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry. As a matter of fact, please come to the show if you want this Saturday, and I'll get you guys a couple of tickets and some after show passes. You can come back, say hello. I can shake your hand, and thank you personally for taking the time to do this for me. I appreciate it.
I would absolutely love that. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Don.
You got it.